This is The Culture.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another edition of the Cinema Wave podcast. We are back to talk to you guys about the Golden Globe Awards that's coming to you guys this weekend. I believe it's on Sunday. And I am here. I'm one of your hosts. My name is Darian Zach. I am joined this time by Zach Miller.
Hey, what's going on?
And we are going to give you guys our predictions on all of the awards at the Golden Globe Awards. Now, this is not who we want to win. This is our predictions of who we think is going to win each award. Maybe we'll go a little bit, depending on the category, on who we would prefer, things like that. But these are our predictions. So we're going to keep score. It's a gentlemanly bet of us just deciding who will end up on top with the points. Remember, we used to do this. We did this for the Academy Awards, though, in Knapp's class, right?
We did. We had a sheet, we had a breakdown, and then we just tried to go through who was most accurate.
Yeah. Did you ever win?
I got close, maybe, but some people were like, they saw enough movies
that they knew everything.
Yeah.
They knew I don't
exactly.
think I ever won either. But when I was teaching, I did this with my classes for the 3 years too.
Okay.
Which was fun. But all right, so we're gonna start with the heavy hitter, the best motion picture drama. Now, again, if you guys don't know the way that the Golden Globes go, it covers film and television. And also they divide a lot of the categories based on drama and then musical or comedy. Some of these may be a surprise to you because musical or comedy is very flexible in the eyes of the Hollywood Foreign Press Association.
It really is.
Like December being nominated for musical or comedy.
Musical or comedy, yeah, that was hilarious.
It's very, and The Martian is synonymous, is the one that a lot of people go back to where it won Best Picture, musical or comedy. And though there are definitely humorous moments in that film, the movie overall I wouldn't categorize as a comedy.
No.
But anyway, all right, so we'll give you guys the nominees and then we'll make our picks. So best motion picture drama, you have Oppenheimer, Killers of the Flower Moon, Maestro, Past Lives, The Zone of Interest, and Anatomy of a Fall. I do like how in this category you get two foreign films, which is really cool. Two movies that are big standouts to a lot of people with The Zone of Interest and Anatomy of a Fall.
And Past Lives. It's bilingual.
Yes.
Yeah.
But also, yes, you have the South Korean, a big part of that film as well. Though there are a lot of movies that I love in this category.
Yeah.
I do ultimately think that they're going to pick Oppenheimer. What say you, Zach?
I'm also going to go Oppenheimer because the movie was just so large scale, screaming best picture to me. Like, I think it even has a great case for the Oscars. I mean, in so many categories too, but there was a lot of hype around this movie. And I think because of the hype compared to the rest of the movies in this category, it seems like a shoo-in for a lot of people. So what do you agree with?
I agree with that. The only, ironically enough though, like a film that we don't love,
Killers,
movie, yes, Killers, I think could play spoiler to this, especially because it's Golden Globes. I do feel like they might want to give Marty one.
Sure,
And a lot of people do love Killers of the Flower Moon. Like, we're kind of in the minority in terms of where we stand with it, and we definitely didn't give it a bad score when we did our review, but we definitely didn't love it as much as a lot of other people did. But I agree. I think that Oppenheimer is basic. I heard somebody say this on a podcast recently on YouTube. I think it was Dan Merle. And he was talking about how he said, I believe that Christopher Nolan trained his whole life to make a movie like Oppenheimer. And he's like, if you take certain aspects of it, there are elements of every movie that came before it that play a part in Oppenheimer. And I think it's definitely his greatest film ever made. And I do agree with you. I think it's going to be in the top 3 for Best Picture at the Academy Awards. So that's why I do agree. When you split it up between drama, musical, or comedy, I think it's got a really good chance of winning.
Yeah, I agree with what you were saying too. Like, it's got all of those elements from his past movies. It's got a little bit of action, but it's mostly a character study and the destruction of himself and his relationships. So there's a lot in that movie. I mean, the cast is huge. Like, half of Hollywood is in the movie.
Yeah.
So there's a lot that I can see the Hollywood Foreign Press buying into. But I also agree with what you're saying about Killers too, that they have a lot to go with for that too. But that being said, I think we're both gonna go Oppenheimer.
Yeah, we're both gonna go Oppenheimer. Do you want to read the nominees for the next one?
Sure. Yeah. So next up is Best Motion Picture, Musical or Comedy, and we got a great list here too. There's Barbie, Poor Things, American Fiction, The Holdovers, May December, and Air. So let's get one right off the list. May December, I really could hope not wins like in this category, but this is a big list too. I know Barbie was another film that obviously got a lot of hype this year. I think that's got a big case for it. But I want to say my pick is going to be Poor Things for this category.
Okay. So I haven't seen Poor Things yet. It's one of the two of the 6 movies on this list that I haven't seen, unfortunately. Poor Things, which at some point next week I'm planning on seeing it. So by the time we do our top 10 lists, I would have seen it by then. And American Fiction is another one that I really, really want to see, but I don't know if it's gone wide yet. But that's getting a lot of buzz, especially for the Academy Awards as well. I love The Holdovers. May December, I agree with you. I don't think it's a musical or comedy. I really, really like Air. I just think it's a really tough category. And I think the Golden Globes are going to stick on. They're going to want to ride the Barbenheimer wave. And that's why I think Oppenheimer gets Best Drama, and I think Barbie is going to end up getting Best Musical or Comedy. I mean, it's a very inventive movie. I actually went, and it's our next category anyway, but I went back and forth. The hardest category for me was Best Director. And I really thought they were going to give it to Greta, but I pivoted last second. But I do think that the Golden Globes are really going to love Barbie, and they're going to show it a lot of love on the night of the Golden Globes. So Barbie is going to be my pick for Best Musical or Comedy.
That's a good pick. That's a great pick.
Thanks.
Do you want to move on to the next one?
Yes, we can. So the next one that I was just alluding to was Best Director, which another stacked lineup. And I do think, genuinely, I think that there's 6 people in the category for Golden Globes. I think the 5 people that are going to get nominated for the Oscar are all in this category.
Yeah.
So it's going to be really tough to see who they wind up cutting out for the Oscars. But we have Bradley Cooper for Maestro, Greta Gerwig for Barbie, Yorgos Lanthimos for Poor Things, Christopher Nolan for Oppenheimer, Martin Scorsese for Killers of the Flower Moon, and Celine Song for Past Lives. I was between Greta, Nolan, and Scorsese for probably like 20 minutes. Just going back and forth,
seriously.
not knowing who I thought they were going to take. But ultimately, I do think they're going to go with Nolan. I think that, again, there's just so much craftsmanship built in that movie. I just rewatched it for the second time on New Year's Eve, and it was like even more of a revelation for me, like watching it a second time. But I mean, they're like, I don't think you can go wrong with any of these awesome filmmakers. Like Celine Song getting nominated for her first film was awesome. And again, at the beginning of the year, like, who would have thought that as great as a director as Greta Gerwig is, like, that Barbie would be getting all this crazy attention. But I'm gonna go Nolan with Greta as a very close second.
That's a good pick. Like, honestly, I can't really argue that. I think like I'll be really happy if they give it to Christopher Nolan for everything we're talking about, just how much he put into Oppenheimer. I think that the Hollywood Foreign Press might go with Greta only for the sake. Well, I mean, there's so many reasons to go with Greta because Barbie was such a success for so many reasons, but they also had a great stat this year that Greta was the first female director to have $1 billion movie. And I think that's huge for Hollywood. So maybe that will influence their decision a little bit, and how, Oppenheimer was a big success critically, but so was Barbie too. And I think that the box office for them both did well too. And I think that Barbie was definitely more of a commercial success, I think, because of its commercial like side of it. But and Oppenheimer is not that type of story. But I think so there is that element to it sometimes with the Golden Globes, is they kind of go with popular picks. But also I kind of want to bring up too that there was a year, I think, Argo won a couple Golden Globes over Django. Like Tarantino's one of his opuses, like Django, was so good, but Argo was not Django. Argo was a good movie, but it was not as widely renowned as Django was, and still is. So I think they have a way of warping some picks. So I want to say, and not to say that Barbie is an Oppenheimer, because I love that movie for its own thing, but they do like to make statement picks. So for sure. I think Greta might have a chance.
Okay. I can't disagree with that either. Like I said, she's a close second for me.
Yeah.
You want to go for the next category?
Yeah, sure. So a lot of familiar faces again in this category, but there's best screenplay for motion picture. There's Barbie, Greta Gerwig and Noah Baumbach, and there's Poor Things, Tony McNamara, Oppenheimer, Christopher Nolan, Killers of the Flower Moon, Eric Roth and Martin Scorsese, Past Lives, Celine Song, and Anatomy of a Fall, Justine Triet and Arthur Harari. There's a lot of great picks in this too. I mean, it's almost the same thing in the first couple of awards, but they added Anatomy of a Fall for this. I really liked Anatomy of a Fall as a screenplay. Like, that movie was start to finish, keeps you guessing a lot. So I'm gonna make that. Maybe they'll make that a bold pick, but there's so many in this that might be sweepers. Like Oppenheimer could sweep, Barbie could sweep in a lot of categories too. Killers of the Flower Moon could even sweep.
Or they might spread the wealth, which I feel like the Golden Globes also try to do sometimes. They're like, oh, a little for you, a little for you. They like put the breadcrumbs, like lay them all across for everybody. I haven't had a chance to see Anatomy of a Fall yet. I've heard it's like one of the most twisted, windy thrillers in like years, and it's a fantastic movie. So I unfortunately can't attest to that. But my pick is also a film that I haven't seen. And I picked Poor Things. And the reason I picked Poor Things was because I've heard that it has a pretty good chance of winning screenplay at the Academy Awards. And also, like, my pick for my favorite screenplay of the year is probably The Holdovers. And that's not even nominated, which I was pretty surprised by.
Yeah.
So it kind of leaves a few, like Killers of the Flower Moon. I don't love the screenplay. Past Lives, I really enjoy that film, but I think it's a little too simple. Sure. And Barbie, again, a great movie. I just don't know if there are moments in Barbie where it's obvious that it shines, but there are other moments where it's like screenplay wise, it's not the strongest in my opinion. But based on the crazy things that I've heard about Poor Things and sitting and being able to produce your episode with Liz and your review, it sounds like a film that definitely is going to be in contention for a lot of awards.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's one of the most unique films of the year for sure. Like it has a lot going for it. Just in every aspect of filmmaking. So the screenplay has a great case for that too. So yeah, I don't know. It's a stacked category again, but do you want to read?
Yeah, let's go. Best performance by an actor in a motion picture drama. We have Bradley Cooper for Maestro, Cillian Murphy for Oppenheimer, Leonardo DiCaprio for Killers of the Flower Moon, Coleman Domingo for Rustin, Andrew Scott for All of Us Strangers, and Barry Keoghan for Saltburn. I think this is very obviously a 2-horse race, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. I do think there's like a 2% outside chance, because of the Golden Globes and because of the popularity online, that Barry gets it. I don't think he's going to.
Wow.
But there's something in my brain that just goes off when I see, like, as soon as that movie hit Prime, like, it is now memified everywhere. And the Golden Globes might want to capitalize on something like that. My pick ultimately, though, was Cillian Murphy for Oppenheimer. I think that he's obviously been a leading man before. He's led Peaky Blinders is a fantastic series, but this was such a step up for him, and it was such a remarkable performance to be able to capture so much of that trauma and so much of the condition that came with him making that bomb and everything, the PTSD that he was able to portray on screen. I think it's his to lose, and I think again, breaking it up between drama and comedy musical, like, I think there are 2 performances in musical or comedy that I think are the stronger ones that will compete with Cillian at the Oscars. Yeah. So I think that's why I got to give the edge to Cillian here.
Yeah. Yeah. I want to say Cillian as well. Like, this is a very stacked category. I think the bait in this category is Bradley and Leo, because they're those classic film stars now for 10 plus years. And I mean, Bradley's been around for a while, but he's been doing artistic stuff for probably the last 10, 15 years. And then Leo's been around doing artistic stuff for almost his whole career. Yeah. And Cillian has been breaking the mold on those very artistic pieces recently. And this one was like one of the best artistic pieces that you could get as an actor. And his work in Peaky Blinders is phenomenal. And then you're like, how can he get any better? And then he gets better in Oppenheimer. So there's a lot of great bits to that performance, and I remember when we walked out, we all kind of like felt a shared feeling where we were like, wow, that's a great case for best actor right there. I think a surprise could be Andrew Scott in All of Us Strangers.
Okay.
But just because of what Liz was telling us,
Yes.
that this is a very like devastating human performance, that it's got a very different story from what she was telling us too. And she was saying it was heartbreaking. That's the one movie I really need to see too before the year gets to the Oscars. But yeah, so I want to say Killian for now.
Yeah, one thing I want to mention too with the Killian thing, I like the amount of for someone to be like, again, like you mentioned Leo and Bradley, not that Killian is not that caliber of actor, but
right,
this is something where like he is holding the weight of a 3-hour epic about one man on his shoulders, which is wild to think about. And that's not that, like, first of all, every single performance in that movie I think is fantastic. Like, no matter whether it's something like as big as him or RDJ, or then you have like the smaller roles from like Josh Hartnett and Matthew Modine and like David Krumholtz, like everybody is at the top of their game in this. But the fact that Killian has to hold that movie on his shoulder for so much of it, I think is another big part of the reason why he's deserving of the Golden Globe.
I think he's been like, what I also mean to say too is that he's underrated until
for sure.
now. You know, like Peaky Blinders was when everyone started to put eyes on him. Like he was such a talented actor from day one. He started with 28 Days Later. He's fantastic in that. And then he did a bunch of other movies in between then in Peaky Blinders. And that was when everyone started to watch Netflix shows as this like very highly regarded acting piece, and he was just great in that show. So for him to finally get this leading man role, especially with Nolan too, like Nolan
has worked with previously,
and he's always wanted him in this leading role chair. So for him to use that spotlight for the 3 hours, like you're saying, and do it so well, he's broken into that upper echelon that the Academy reveres as like the Bradleys, the DiCaprios, the De Niros, you know,
for
like,
sure.
To me, he's always been there, but now I think
he's got a spotlight on himself. For sure. I agree. All right. You want to get the next one?
Yes. Yeah. So then going on to the other side of the aisle, there is best performance by an actress in a motion picture drama. There is Lily Gladstone for Killers of the Flower Moon, Carey Mulligan for Maestro, Sandra Huller for Anatomy of a Fall, Annette Bening for Naiad, Greta Lee for Past Lives, and Kaylee Spaney for Priscilla. This is a great category. It's packed again. I mean, this is tough. But I think that they're gonna give the edge to Lily in this situation. Okay. And I know we were talking about the debate of her screen time and stuff, but I am happy that they did give it to her. But I mean, that's not to take away from her performance. Like, she was absolutely sensational in that movie. She does deserve an award for that. To me, I think it's a toss-up between her and Carey Mulligan, because Carey Mulligan was fantastic in Maestro too. So I think Lily might get the edge just based off of what Hollywood Foreign Press has done before.
Yeah. So I think this category and Best Supporting Actor in a Motion Picture are the two hardest to predict.
Yeah.
Where I think in this category, I think there are 4 amazing, talented women that can get it.
Yes.
It's so hard to pick. Now, Annette Bening, I've heard good things, but I think she's I don't think she really has a huge shot. Greta Lee is fantastic in Past Lives, but I just don't think she's got enough there to get the award. I think it's Kaylee Spaney. I loved in Priscilla. It's honestly one of my favorite performances of the year. I think it's so underrated, that performance, and I'm so happy she's at least getting the attention because I think she's deserving of it. But the top 3 you mentioned is where I think it's between Lily Gladstone and Killers of the Flower Moon, Carey Mulligan, who's devastating in Maestro. And again, like, I've seen Maestro, so I can attest that. Like, that would be my pick.
Yeah.
But I'm going to go with Sandra Hüller for Anatomy of a Fall, a film that I haven't even seen, but the buzz is building for her. It's crazy. In the year that she's had between this and The Zone of Interest, both like 2 huge international films that are like taking the world by storm, essentially. I just feel like she's gaining momentum at the right time. And I think that, I'm not to say, I think she's going to get nominated to the Academy Awards, but I do think that some of the other actresses might, and plus, when you get to the Oscars, Emma Stone's going to be in this category because you're not going to split them up.
Oh, that's true.
So I do think that Sandra Hüller is going to get the edge for me for Anatomy of a Fall. And I haven't even seen the performance, but everything I hear is that she's remarkable in the movie.
She was fantastic. Like,
Yeah.
I saw the movie and she's my personal pick. But then if there's the Oscars, there's also Emma Stone. So then it blends. But, for this category, my personal pick, Sandra Hüller. But based off of how they might do it, I'm going to say Lily.
Yeah.
But yes, absolutely knockout in that movie.
Yeah,
So,
I think the Oscars category is going to be Lily, Carey Mulligan, Sandra Hüller, Kaylee Spaney, and Emma Stone. That's my prediction. We haven't gotten the nominations, obviously.
that's a good pick. That's a good
But
lineup.
that's
and you're
crazy
still
lineup.
leaving people out, which is
from May
crazy
you have
because
the actresses from May December. I mean, a lot. I haven't seen Nyad. I don't think you have either, right?
No, but I didn't hear it was like as memorable as these.
Yes, but I've heard that Annette Bening and Jodie Foster are fantastic in the movie. So it's like depends on how much the Academy wants to sort of get that legendary status from two women that have been in the conversation for 40 plus years. So
it's such a stacked year that there's gonna be, especially for the Oscars, some snubs.
Yeah.
Like there has to be because there's only so many people you can allow.
yeah,
But-
for sure. So then we move on to best performance by an actress in a motion picture, musical, or comedy. We have Fantasia Barrino for The Color Purple, Jennifer Lawrence for No Hard Feelings, Natalie Portman for May December, Alma Poisty for Fallen Leaves, Margot Robbie for Barbie, and Emma Stone for Poor Things. I did realize that I didn't put Margot Robbie in Best Actress category, but I really don't think she's going to get nominated. I think she's like just going to miss it for the Academy Awards, though her performance is fantastic.
Yeah.
I think this, because of how weak the category is, I think it's Emma Stone like runaway. I don't really think it's close. I think that based on what I've heard from how you and Liz talked about how like this is like I think Liz was the one who said this is like a career defining performance.
Absolutely.
It's like one of the, and she already has an Academy Award for La La Land and she's a great actress. But I think that based on what I'm hearing, they're like, and I think you might have been one of you two in the conversation said you couldn't imagine anybody else playing this role. And if you come out of a film feeling that way, then I mean, especially when a role is getting so much attention and critical acclaim, I have to go with Emma Stone, even though I haven't seen the film yet.
Yeah. I'm also going to go with Emma Stone too, because to go off of what we were saying in that podcast, there was so much to that performance. Like she took her early comedy work in movies like Easy A and some of the other rom-coms that she did. And she moved that off of her skill set with drama work. And I love her in La La Land, but this performance is like 3 times what that movie did for her, like as an actor too. Like she went to places that I didn't know she was capable of, and she delivered in every possible way for that script. Her timing was always comedically punctual, and I just loved what she added to the drama of the script as well. Like there's so much diversity and complexity compared to the rest of these people on the list, which I think they all did decent in their own movies, but compared to Emma Stone, it just seems like everyone else is in her shadow for that category.
Yeah,
but
for sure. All right, so then we're gonna go. Did I just do that one? Yeah, you can do the next one.
I can do best performance by an actor in a motion picture, musical, or comedy. So this is now the men, and we got Nicolas Cage, Dream Scenario, and Timothée Chalamet for Wonka, Matt Damon for Air, Paul Giamatti for The Holdovers, Joaquin Phoenix for Beau's Afraid, Jeffrey Wright for American Fiction, and that's it. So this is a tough category too. I think there's a couple standouts. I'm also going to go... Oh, this is tough, but I'm surprised they didn't give Joaquin Phoenix for Napoleon in a comedy,
Oh my
God. I was going to say... probably Paul Giamatti for The Holdovers too.
Okay, so I agree. I think this is one of the easier. I think it's really between two actors. As much as, and Liz, if you're watching, sorry again. As much as we love Nicolas Cage in Dream Scenario, just the fact that he's getting noticed for what he's doing, I think is huge for him. But I'm a really big fan of Matt Damon's performance in Air 2, but I definitely don't think it's strong enough to be in this, especially for the Academy Awards. So I think this is between Paul Giamatti and Jeffrey Wright and I think it's going to be very, very close. But I'm going to go Giamatti for holdovers as well, because I do think, I mean, another similar situation where Alexander Payne has said, he's like, I wrote this, or he didn't write the film, but he goes, when I knew I was making this movie, I only had Paul in mind. And the character's name is Paul, which, like, I don't know if that was, again, that was like something in his subconscious that he just decided to do that, or they were like, whatever. But Giamatti is so great in this movie. And he's, as of right now, he's probably my pick for the Academy Award too.
Wow.
Yeah, I think it's going to be tough between him and Cillian, because they're approaching it at such a, you know what I mean? It's such a, they're two entirely different performances.
So different.
But that could change. I mean, I think I would rather give it to Cillian, I think. But I don't know. This might be the year that the Academy is like, we got to reward Giamatti, because he's so good in this movie.
I think they could do that. And I think they usually would do that in a different year, but this year is so stacked. I think he might get snubbed
for even a nomination
for an Oscar, because I think there's so many. I don't even know.
I think it'll depend too if we get into like a Return of the King sort of scenario where like every single thing gets nominated for, it wins. Yeah. I fall in this weird category where I think Oppenheimer is going to win so many technical awards, and I do ultimately, as of right now, think it's my best picture pick for the Academy Awards, that I think that I could see them
giving other awards,
giving another actor a chance, because I do think, and we'll get to this category. Well, it's the next category, so I won't jump into it yet, but we'll talk about it.
I also think that my personal pick is Nicolas Cage, because it's so different. Well,
like who you would want yourself.
Who I would want personally, Nicolas Cage. But I agree, it's between Paul and Jeffrey Wright for sure.
I've heard Jeffrey Wright's fantastic in American Fiction too.
Yeah, that's been on my list for a while too.
I want to see it so bad.
Yeah.
All right, so the next category, in my opinion, is the absolute hardest category across film and television this year, and I think very similar to what I had said earlier. I forget what category it was that I said. Oh, best director. I think it's going to be the same sort of thing, that one of these six is going to be the one that's on the chopping block. And I do think I think I'll say who it is. But anyway, best supporting actor motion picture. The nominees are Willem Dafoe for Poor Things, Robert De Niro for Killers of the Flower Moon, Robert Downey Jr. for Oppenheimer, Ryan Gosling for Barbie, Charles Melton for May December, and Mark Ruffalo for Poor Things. So I think Dafoe is going to get knocked out for the Academy Awards based on what I've heard. I have seen 4 of these performances, and I think they're all amazing. I think De Niro is so much of what is good about Killers of the Flower Moon. It's like one of his best performances in years.
Yeah.
Charles Melton, you guys can go and watch our review, but Melton was exactly what I wanted out of that movie, and he's so heart-wrenching in that film. Yeah. And for the thing with Melton is it's such a like make a name for yourself role. Like, again, I mean, the story that everyone's talking about is this kid came from Riverdale, and it's like that's what people know him from, and then he got this based on his audition, and he's, I think, as great as Julianne Moore and Natalie Portman are, I think he outacts them in that film. So I do think ultimately, though, it comes down to RDJ for Oppenheimer and Ryan Gosling for Barbie, again in this battle of the Barbenheimer. But I'm going to go Robert Downey Jr., and I do think it's part. First of all, it's one of the greatest performances of the year.
Absolutely.
But not only that, being able to have the clout for the Golden Globes of being like, let's get Tony Stark on stage. Like, they're going to want to have him talk. True. They're going to want to hear his speech. And this is the first straight role that he's done in a long time. I think since The Judge. Like, maybe besides
2013.
Besides fucking Doolittle. But like we're not like no one's talking
like
about
Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I do think ultimately it goes to RDJ, but I think it's a very, very tough category, and I wouldn't be surprised if anyone other than Dafoe got it. I wouldn't be surprised at all.
Yeah. This is a very hard category. I like Dafoe. To me, he's not on screen enough in Poor Things to warrant this, but he's fantastic in the movie. Mark Ruffalo, I liked as a stronger pick. I know Liz didn't like him as a stronger pick for Poor Things, but yeah, I'm gonna go De Niro just because I think it's kind of what you're saying. Like, he's one of the better picks or parts of that movie, and he is very different from what he usually is, and I just think that kind of playing into what you were thinking with Paul Giamatti and how he's such a renowned actor. Like he doesn't need the award, but to give it to him at this stage in his career and to show that he's still pumping out award-winning performances might be a big case.
So you think Golden Globes goes the Sly Stallone route?
I don't know.
Because that's essentially.
Yeah.
Remember when that was he didn't win the Academy Award. I don't think he won the Academy Award, did he? Maybe he did for Creed.
Oh, I don't think he did for Creed.
He won the
Rocky.
but he won the Golden Globe for Creed for Best Supporting Actor, and he was nominated at the Academy Awards, but I don't think he won.
I can't remember.
I'm gonna double check that, but.
I think it's weird because sometimes everyone's like, yeah, I agree with that pick. Like that makes sense. Then they do something completely out of nowhere. And like none of these nominees for the most part are undeserving. So that's why I won't be shocked.
Yeah.
Really?
Or upset. I mean, the performances are so good.
Exactly. Like, you know, when you got a movie like Oppenheimer going up against a movie like Killers of the Flower Moon and Poor Things, and then, you know, however many other movies we were talking about too. I'm never like gonna really judge a pick necessarily, unless it's just, you know, oh, they weren't in the movie, so how did they?
Yeah.
What the category thing too is what is throwing us.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. All right, so those are good. Those are good ones.
Yeah.
You got Best Supporting Actress.
Sure. So this is another great category. Like we were saying, Best Supporting Actress in a Motion Picture. We got Emily Blunt for Oppenheimer, Danielle Brooks for The Color Purple, Jodie Foster for Nyad, Julianne Moore for May December, Rosamund Pike for Saltburn, Divine Joy Randolph for The Holdovers. My pick, definitely based off of these. There's so many good ones, but I think I'm gonna go Emily Blunt and Oppenheimer because that also was very different from what I've seen her do, and kind of similar to Killian. Like she's just really been breaking the mold on some standout performances and just choosing the right projects and going to the furthest lengths with those performances to get the best out of the characters. So this movie, it really showed in Oppenheimer. So it's probably not like that is a really good pick for me personally too, but my personal pick would probably also be Divine Joy Randolph, but
yeah,
I think they might go with Emily Blunt.
So I feel the exact same way that you do. If it was up to me, I would give it to Divine, and I do think she's going to get the Oscar. But there's something about, and that scene, I mean, it plays so well even in a second viewing, like the scene where she's getting questioned by Jason Clarke's character in Oppenheimer is like one of the standout scenes of the entire year in cinema. And it is a strong performance from her because not only that, but somebody on Twitter said this, but I agree like wholeheartedly. That look that she gives Benny Safdie at the end of the film when he's getting his he's getting Presidential Medal of Freedom, right? Or Medal of Honor. Yeah. There's so much behind her eyes in that, and it's just like, oh my God. So I do think it's a 3-horse race between her, Divine, and I've been hearing a lot of amazing things about Danielle Brooks in The Color Purple. So I think she's definitely going to get a nom at the Oscars. But I don't have much to reference from that. And again, so like my personal pick would be Divine, but my pick, or who I think is going to win at the Golden Globes, is going to be Emily Blunt. Yeah,
that's a tough category.
It is another tough category. Really tough. All right, so we talked movies for a while. We are now going to head into television. We will start by saying we haven't seen as much TV this year as film, but we will still give our picks for television as well. And we're going to start with Best Television Series Drama.
Oh, man.
So first we got 1923 for Paramount Plus, The Crown on Netflix, The Diplomat on Netflix, The Last of Us on HBO, The Morning Show on Apple TV Plus, and Succession for HBO. Netflix has given, or the Golden Globes and the Emmys have given a lot of awards over the years to The Crown. And I think it's going to be really tough because The Crown is in its last season. Succession is in its last season. And then you have the phenomenon that's The Last of Us on top of the fact that it's like the Golden Globes. And I don't think The Last of Us will win the Emmy, but I do think it has a shot for Best Drama at the Golden Globes. And not to say it's not deserving because I loved The Last of Us. But if they do it the right way, it has to be Succession. I mean, it has to be Succession.
It does have to be Succession. It holds up like way heavier than the other ones to me, at least. But like not putting any of the other shows down because everyone's had a great year of TV too, but that show just like for its final season, they like gave you the left and right hook every step of the way, and it just didn't let up. Like it was some of the best TV you could watch in modern history. It has to get enough awards for sure.
Yeah.
And you know,
I
that's
don't
my
think
pick.
I don't think there's much else for us to say. I mean, it has to be Succession.
Yeah, I mean,
if
we
it's
can
not
talk about it all
If it's not
night.
Succession, then we're probably going to boycott the Golden Globes next
Exactly.
year. So the next category too, which I'll just go off and do the next one, then you can do the next two. Best television series, musical or comedy. You have The Bear for FX, Ted Lasso, and its final season on Apple TV Plus. Abbott Elementary on ABC, Jury Duty on Amazon Freevee, Only Murders in the Building Hulu, and then the final season of Barry on HBO. This again, like if it's not The Bear, we boycott the Golden Globes.
Yes, wholeheartedly.
The greatest hour in television and film, arguably,
For
was
the
on
year.
this show.
It's been
This year.
yeah, I agree.
So like, don't be fucking stupid. Like just don't be dumb. Like it's one of the greatest shows ever. It's one of the best seasons ever. Just award The Bear. Zach, what's your pick?
God. It's The Bear. Like it does such a great job at throwing up all this emotion of like now you're feeling hilarious, like you're invested in it, in the comedy of just how chaotic the kitchen can be and how the relationships can be, and then it just rips your heart out in the following scenes. That it just has that deep emotional level to it. I would even go further to say that I like The Bear more than Succession this year, but that is probably the whole debate for a different day.
That's we have a
Yeah.
future episode on that, but I might have to echo.
So,
your sentiment.
but it's tough. Like that's because it's just the style of that show.
Yes.
I'm into more, but that's a whole different thing.
Yeah,
So for this category, The Bear just seems far and away miles ahead of the other ones. Like I think they all are very good. Like Barry, people were very split on in the final season,
Mm-hmm.
so that's kind of different than Succession in its final
Yeah,
season.
Ted Lasso's also got its flowers for years.
Yes.
So I think though it is the final season or what we think is the final season.
Even Abbott Elementary has gotten its flowers.
Yeah,
too.
exactly.
Yeah.
So The Bear. It's got to be The Bear. You want to read the next two?
Yes, yeah. So, best performance by an actor in a television series drama. There's Pedro Pascal in The Last of Us, Kieran Culkin, Succession, Jeremy Strong, Succession, Brian Cox, Succession, Gary Oldman, Slow Horses, and Dominic West, The Crown. This is no man. Geez, like this is you got half of the category for one show.
I know.
This is tough. I want to really say,
I went back and forth between two people on Succession.
yeah.
That makes you feel better.
I mean, it's like, and I love Pedro and Last of Us too, but the way that Succession was handled, oh my gosh. Ooh. I'm between Brian Cox and Kieran Culkin,
Okay.
even though I love Jeremy. I think I'm gonna go Brian Cox.
Okay.
Just maybe for tapping
The
into that thing.
encapsulation of the entire series, because I don't think
And
he's
his
won.
career.
Yeah.
Probably
I
the
don't
best
know if
role
he's
in his
ever
career.
won for Succession, which is crazy to think
Which is
about.
nuts.
Like
because
in
he
any, I
drove
don't think
that
he won.
show.
I don't think he won the Emmy or the Golden Globe ever. Actually, won one Emmy. Let's see if it was for
I mean, there's so many
Succession.
lead actors in that show, and they all did great in the previous seasons.
Wait till we get to supporting actor. I think there's also 3 in that category. I mean, the season was just stacked.
Wow.
As I try to wait for that to pull up, I think Brian Cox is obviously a good pick. But I'm going to go with Kieran. And I'm going to go with Kieran because I think that this season had such there was such an emotionality to his performance
Oh, yeah.
that you haven't seen in the previous seasons. You see it in snippets, you see it in parts, but he has like a few different particular outbursts throughout the season that are really, really great acting. And it's crazy to think of like the fact that he went from like playing like Michael Cera's best friend on Scott Pilgrim and being like this, like you would take a look at Kieran Culkin and you would just be like, I know what type of actor this guy is.
Yeah.
And then he comes around and does something like this. I think it's got to be Kieran Culkin. I went back and forth between him and Jeremy. But again, Cox is still a good choice too. And I mean, the Pedro Pascal of it all is just that like he's in the eyes of a lot of people. So
Yeah.
by the way, so Brian Cox has never won the Emmy, but he did win the Golden Globe in 2020.
Okay. You know what
So-
I'm also thinking too, just recurring like the show, he's not in as much of this season as he is in the past seasons. So that might hurt his chances.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Too.
Okay.
But anyway, you want to read the next one?
Yeah. Yeah. There is best performance by an actress in a television series drama. I have Helen Mirren, 1923, Bella Ramsey, The Last of Us, Kerry Russell, The Diplomat, Sarah Snook, and Succession, Imelda Staunton in The Crown, and Emma Stone in The Curse. This is another very good category. I'm gonna go for a bold pick. I don't know. You know, like I can see them doing one of two things. I can see them giving it to Helen Mirren because she's had such a storied career, and then Bella Ramsey is like the hot up and coming actress, and she did such a good job in that show. So I'm gonna pick Bella Ramsey. I feel like we have a lot of similar,
The same ones, yeah. But I mean, you also have to try to get in the mind of the Hollywood Foreign Press. I went back and forth between Bella and Sarah Snook, because another one I don't think she's been given her flowers, and it would be unfortunate if she gets out of the cycle of Succession and never wins an award for it. But I do think she has a really good shot at the Emmy, and that's why I do ultimately think that they'll try to find a way to award Last of Us in some way, shape, or form, and I do think they'll do it through Bella. Her performance is so good in The Last of Us 2, and so much is framed around her performance.
Yeah.
Not that Pedro's bad in the series at all, but there's something to the job that she does in that show that I think ultimately it's going to go to Bella Ramsey. Moving on to Best Actress in a TV series, musical, or a comedy. We have Ayo Edebiri for The Bear, Natasha Lyonne for Poker Face, Quinta Brunson for Abbott Elementary, Rachel Brosnahan for The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, Selena Gomez for Only Murders in the Building, and Elle Fanning for The Great. Another tough category. I think I think ultimately this could go to 4 different people. Like, I think this category, there's a lot to kind of think about with it. One, Natasha Lyonne is really great in Poker Face. I'm like 6 out of 10 episodes through. I'm finishing it before we do our best of lists. And so much, again, is like, that's her like doing Kojak, and she's so good at it. And there's not a lot of actresses that can do that consistently, working with so many different performers throughout the weeks. And she does such a great job of balancing the show on her shoulders. Quinta is going to be in this category for years for Abbott Elementary, and she's already won the Emmy. I think she has a Golden Globe already, so I think they might just skip over her this year. The one spoiler to me, even though again she's been given awards already, is Brosnahan, because it's the final season of Maisel. And because she's just so great in that role, and that was such a star-making performance for her. But ultimately, I do think, and this is not my pick, like not my personal choice, but I would go Ayo Edebiri for The Bear. Because again, I do think they're going to get a lot of awards, and I do think there's a lot of talk online of just about how big of a year that she's had, and this will really cement her as like a name. And I do think the Golden Globes want to be on the right side of that, because I think that in the future seasons we're going to start to see. I think her acting ability is getting stronger as we see. I think she's better in this season than she was in season 1. I do think there are certain scenes where it's like, she does a good job, but she's getting a little outacted by Jeremy Allen White. But I don't think she's a bad performer by any means. But I do think she winds up getting the award in this category. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with her as well, just because I think that she could carry the show of The Bear too. Like, she carries every scene for the most part when Jeremy's not in it. You know, like, I think she really brings a lot of chemistry and energy to this character. I think she was perfectly casted of just this like neurotic, super uneasy kitchen chef, and she just has so much to that. And kind of what you were saying with her performance is getting stronger. She was also in Bottoms this year, so she's really becoming more of a familiar face. So I think that she's just a likable pick to get the award. So
for sure.
Yeah. What do you think about the next category?
Next category, we got Best Actor in a TV Series, Musical, or Comedy. So we have Bill Hader for the last season of Barry, Steve Martin, Only Murders in the Building. Martin Short, Only Murders in the Building. Jason Segel for Shrinking. Jason Sudeikis for the last season of Ted Lasso. And Jeremy Allen White for The Bear. Jeremy Allen White. Not a debate. Shouldn't be anybody else. Bill Hader's won this award already. He's much better in the earlier seasons, in my opinion. Only Murders, I heard it was a weaker season. I've heard Segel is fantastic in Shrinking. It's one of those shows that like I'm going to be watching within the next week so I can add it to my list because I just keep hearing amazing things. And Sudeikis has already been given the award. Alan White is coming off the Emmy, and I just think he's the hottest thing in Hollywood right now. And he's also so good in the show that I think if he goes to anybody else, it would be a massive shock to everybody.
Yeah, I think. Did he win the Golden Globe for this? Already the past year?
I will check. He won the Emmy last year for season 1 of The Bear, but I don't know if he won the Golden Globe.
It looks like he did.
Actually, I might have it reversed. He was nominated for the Emmy and he won the Golden Globe last year, so I was wrong. And he won the Critics' Choice last year.
It looks like he did win last year for The Bear.
Yes.
Okay.
I still think he's going to win again.
I think he's got a great case for it. He's probably my personal pick. Maybe the Hollywood Foreign Press does Shrinking with Jason Segel.
The only reason I think they don't is because, and everybody was pissed about this too, that Harrison Ford was not nominated because they said it's like his best role in years. So the fact that he wasn't even nominated makes me think that it's not going to win anything. That's just the way I'm thinking. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. But
yeah, I don't know. I think of this list too, I think Jeremy is the better one of how much he utilized the screen compared to the rest.
For sure. You want to hit the next category? This is a really, really tough category.
This looks horrible in the right reasons. So best supporting actor for television, we got Billy Crudup for The Morning Show, Matthew McFadyen for Succession, James Marsden, Jury Duty, Eben Moss-Backrack for The Bear, Alan Ruck for Succession, Alexander Skarsgård for Succession. Oh my gosh.
So again, half the category to Succession actors.
And they're all great.
Yes.
The show. And then, my boy Eben, bro. Like, that is the stiffest competition you can get.
I know.
He's my personal pick, Eben, because of what he did and how his character arc changed in just one season. But I think Matthew is also very deserving. His like overcoming of just the adversity and the pain and all of his arc in season 4 of Succession was unbelievable. And what he could do to just keep you so engaged on screen with just his dialogue and not just be this aggressive, like overbearing. He just had everything so sharp and to a T. I've seen very few TV shows do that with actors. Like HBO just has a great way of bringing that into a character. So, but Matthew also, that's a testament to his skills. So I think Matthew has the pick for me.
Yeah. I loved Eben Moss-Backrack in The Bear. I did. I do honestly prefer Matthew's performance a little more. And here's my other thing as I looked into it. So he won the Emmy, I think, for season 2 of Succession.
Yeah.
Didn't win for season 3. He's never been nominated for a Golden Globe before this.
Wow.
Which gives me another part of where it's like, it's the last season of Succession. They're going to award the show, obviously, a lot. He's so good in the role. And I do, and I agree with you. Like, there's so much transformation in Eben's performance in The Bear, but we have a lot more to go with him.
Yes.
There's still more we're going to see of him. And I think like Christopher Storer is going to keep pushing the envelope with his story and the show as a whole. So I think he's eventually, like, think about going into next year, you have 4 of the people in this category are all eliminated already. Wow. Between the 3 from Succession and James Marsden. I haven't watched Jury Duty, but based on what I believe the premise to be, he wouldn't be in next season.
Right.
So I think you take all those people out, and Crudup he already won, and he's been in it. He's going to keep being in it while the morning show is still streaming. So I think Eben has another shot in the future, so I have to go Matthew McFadyen. He's so
I think it's his best season in Succession, too.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. I would agree. All right, so now we're moving to Best Supporting Actress in Television. We have Elizabeth Debicki for The Crown, Abby Elliott for The Bear, Christina Ricci for Yellow Jackets, J. Smith Cameron for Succession, Meryl Streep for Only Murders in the Building, and Hannah Waddingham for Ted Lasso. This is a category, full blown, being honest, I have no idea who's going to win because the only performances I've seen in this category are Christina Ricci for Yellow Jackets and Abby Elliott for The Bear and J. Smith Cameron for Succession. Abby Elliott getting a nomination was a shock to me. I think she's good in her role, but I don't think it's anything crazy of a performance, so I was surprised that she got nominated anyway. I think if you're talking season 3 of Succession, J. Smith Cameron has a great shot. She kind of gets underserved a little bit in season 4. I'm going to go with Hannah Waddingham for the last season of Ted Lasso because she's so beloved and she's so great in the role that I would have to go with her. But I do think there's always a chance that if Meryl Streep is in a category, regardless of whether she's good or not in a show or a film, she has a chance of winning. I mean, I'm pretty sure she won the Golden Globe for Florence Foster Jenkins, over a bunch of people.
True.
So, Meryl is, the one in the back of my head that it's I could totally see them giving it to her. But I do hope and think, ultimately, for the last season of Ted Lasso, they push it in Hannah Waddingham's corner.
Yeah. I'm going to go Elizabeth Debicki for The Crown because I think that show it garners all its accolades, and for the focus to be on Diana specifically that season, it has a lot of weight, and there was a lot of weight in that season. And I've only seen clips of it, but the way that they handle that situation, the way that she resembles Diana, she disappears into that role, which is great. So I think she really has a good chance at that. But I really can't, if Hollywood is Hollywood, they might go with Meryl just for her, prestige.
Yep.
I don't know.
There's always a chance.
Yeah. But moving on to the next category, this is an interesting one. So this is Best Limited Series, Anthology Series, or a Motion Picture Made for Television. There's a couple of great picks. We got Beef, Lessons in Chemistry, Daisy Jones and the Six, All the Light We Cannot See, Fellow Travelers, and Fargo. This is going to be really interesting. I think I'm going to go with Beef, too, out of these. I liked Daisy Jones and the Six. I don't think it's as comparable to Beef, and I think Fargo is a great show, but that's also gotten its awards in the past too. So I think Beef was very original, and I think it's got a lot going for it to get an award.
Yeah, I agree. I think a lot of people in the industry too, like actors and actresses, have been saying their favorite show of the year is Beef, and a lot of people really love the inventiveness of what that is, and sort of giving this elevated sort of just like an elevated pedestal for Ali Wong and Stephen Yeun to sort of play around. And I love Beef. It was one of my favorite shows of the year. I think I haven't watched it, but I do think there's a slight chance you get Daisy Jones and the Six because of the popularity. Because of the book talkers and all the people that love the book and how the book became a phenomenon again.
True. Yeah.
But I am ultimately going to go with Beef, though I haven't had a chance to sit down and watch all of Fargo yet, but it's a great season of television. I agree with you. I think they've given it its flowers in the past, and I think that because it's anthology, it's always going to have another shot.
Sure.
So I think they might go with Beef this year.
Yeah.
Moving on to Best Performance by an Actor in a Limited Series, Anthology Series, or Motion Picture Made for Television. We have Matt Bomer for Fellow Travelers, Sam Claflin for Daisy Jones and the Six, John Hamm for Fargo, Woody Harrelson for White House Plumbers, David Oyelowo for Lawmen, Bass Reeves, and Stephen Yeun for Beef. Another tougher category because I think that there's 3 people in here that, actually 4 that I think have a shot. Matt Bomer, a lot of people are saying it's finally a great showcase for him as an actor. And Fellow Travelers, I've heard nothing but good things. John Hamm is so good in Fargo, and it's such a showy performance that I think that it definitely has a shot. I do ultimately think it comes down to Oyelowo and Stephen Yeun. I haven't had a chance to watch Bass Reeves yet, but I've heard nothing but good things. But I do think they're going to give it to Stephen Yeun for Beef. What about you?
I think Stephen Yeun is a front runner for sure too. I think I'm going to go with David for Bass Reeves just because I don't know. I think he does a great job in the role, and that they're bringing a different take in a Western, and they're reviving the Western a little bit with that show, and I think that he's really good in that. I don't remember how much recognition he got for Selma, but he was also great as Martin Luther King. And I want to say David, but I won't be surprised if Steven wins.
Yeah. Tough category.
Moving on to the next one, we have Best Performance by an Actress in the Limited Series, Anthology Series, or Motion Picture Made for Television. We have Riley Keough for Daisy Jones and the Six, Brie Larson, Lessons in Chemistry, Elizabeth Olsen, Love and Death, Juno Temple for Fargo, Rachel Weisz for Dead Ringers, Ali Wong for Beef. Wow, this is another good one. I really liked Elizabeth Olsen in Love and Death, but I think that these actresses have a little bit more range. I'm hearing a lot of buzz about Juno Temple, so I want to say Juno Temple for Fargo.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that what I had been seeing is that a lot of people think Ali Wong is going to wind up getting this one.
Okay.
But Rachel Weisz playing twin sisters in Dead Ringers, though the show didn't get a lot of attention, I think that because of the caliber of actress she is as well, I think she's going to have an inside edge. But I do think Riley Keough also has a shot, again, because of the Daisy Jones sort of phenomenon. It really depends on how the Golden Globes decide to sort of shape that. But I know, unfortunately, the only ones I've seen on here are Fargo and Beef. So, but I'm going to go Rachel Weisz.
Yeah.
Best original score in a motion picture. We have Ludwig Göransson for Oppenheimer, Jerskin Fendrix for Poor Things, Robbie Robertson for Killers of the Flower Moon, Michael Levy for The Zone of Interest, Daniel Pemberton for Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, and Joe Hisaishi for The Boy and the Heron. Did I say that right, Vinny? How did I say that? Hisaishi? Yeah. Okay. I would love for Across the Spider-Verse to get it.
Yeah.
But the Oppenheimer score is remarkable. And you feel that every single minute in that film. Mm-hmm. And it was something that just became, again, with that second watch, which, Vinny, I know you're a testament to this. That second watch, man, it really elevates things. But, like, that second watch for me, everything, like, hit so much. It was like I saw it even clearer. And I saw it in IMAX the first time I saw it. But just like being able to sit there and pay attention, even in my own house, I'm like, I'm not going to pee for 3 hours. Like I'm just going to sit here and watch this movie. The score is one of my favorite scores probably in any movie ever. So I'm going to go ultimately with Ludwig Göransson for Oppenheimer. What say you, Zach?
I'm gonna agree with you. And Oppenheimer it blows you away, and it keeps you so engaged and elevates everything that's going on around you. And in that movie, I think all the other scores do a great job, but Oppenheimer just transcends like the leaps and bounds of the science and the conflict. And I think it really, the movie could be a boring movie without the score to a point, like I think it could just be a lot of men in a room talking, but it keeps it well paced. It keeps it super engaging. So I think I'm going to go with Oppenheimer too.
Awesome. We got 4 categories left. So Zach, you want to read the next 2 and then I'll do the final 2?
Yeah, sure. So we got Best Picture, non-English language. This is a good one too. Anatomy of a Fall for France, Fallen Leaves for Finland, Io Capitano for Italy, Past Lives for the United States, Society of Snow for Spain, and The Zone of Interest for the United Kingdom. So yeah, these are also just like where they were submitted from. So obviously in Past Lives it has that Korean language to it, but it's just from the United States. So this is a stacked category. I've heard a lot about Fallen Leaves. I don't think I'll be able to get to watch it before the awards, but I heard that was great. And then Society of Snow is coming out on Netflix on Thursday, January 4th, in time of this recording. So this
might be the most stacked non-English language year in a very long time.
Yeah.
Like 5 of these 6 films I've heard nothing but amazing things about.
Right, yeah, because I felt like, I'd have to look at it again, but the Parasite year, it felt like Parasite was overshadowing everything else in that category. So I think that,
and even last year with like All Quiet on the Western Front, like that, everyone was like, that's going in Best Picture. But like within this category, there's 3 films in this category that all conceivably could be nominated for Best Picture at the Academy Awards.
Absolutely.
So what's your pick, Zach?
I'm still gonna go Anatomy of a Fall. Yeah.
Okay.
It's so good. I think Past Lives, it's a toss up between that and Past Lives, but it's tough.
Yeah, I'm also going to go Anatomy of a Fall just because I've heard such incredible things about the film. Past Lives is one of my absolute favorite movies of the year. I just think it's going to miss the boat on a lot of awards in the bigger award shows. Like, I think if we're talking Independent Spirit Awards, we're talking like, I think it might clean up. But I think the only real chance it has at the Academy Awards is probably screenplay. So I'm going to go Anatomy of a Fall as well for Best Picture non-English language.
Cool. Well, moving on to Best Original Song.
Zach's favorite category.
Yes. How did you know? This is really, I mean, wow.
Talk about Succession cleaning up. We got 3 Barbie songs.
This is how they just knew what was going to happen. Like, this is what you submit for with Barbie for sure. Barbie has What Was I Made For by Billie Eilish and Phineas. Barbie for Dance the Night Away with Dua Lipa, Mark Ronson, and Carolyn Eileen. Andrew Wyatt. Then there is She Came to Me by Addicted to Romance by Bruce Springsteen and Patty Scialfa. The Super Mario Bros. Movie Peaches by Jack Black and Aaron Horvath, and a lot of others. There is Barbie, I'm Just Ken by Mark Ronson, Andrew Wyatt. Rustin, Road to Freedom by Lenny Kravitz. Oh man, this is like, I mean, I feel like the Hollywood pick is going to be, I don't know. Actually,
I know it's tough. It's really tough.
I feel like it's the toss up between Barbies, like all the Barbie songs.
I think that there's 2 Barbie songs and there's like 25% chance they do Peaches. Because of the phenomenon that has become of that song. Like, it charted 1 on Billboard, I think.
You know what's crazy is I never
Which
thought...
the other 2 have too, but...
I never thought Bruce Springsteen would have a shot at losing this award in his career either.
I also think he has the worst chance of probably winning in this category.
Yeah, I would agree.
Which is crazy.
Yeah. I'm going to go... man, Dance the Night Away. But by a hair.
It's a great song.
Yeah, just because of its popularity.
I think that they're going to go the flip of that with Barbie, and I think they're going to go I'm Just Ken. I
won't disagree.
Again, and Mark Ronson being such a big part of that soundtrack, and Billie Eilish's song "What Was I Made For" has such an emotional impact. But I do think that they're going to want to go a little bit more commercial with this award. I do think they're going to wind up going. I mean, either one, whether you take Dance the Night or I'm Just Ken, they're both commercial. So we're just going to have to see awards night which one, and
seriously,
loser has to sing the winning song.
I'll do it
shirtless
for free.
In the studio.
I'll do it for free.
Oh my
Go
God.
for it. Take us home with the last 2.
All right, so we got the last 2 here. 2 again. So one category that's fantastic, one that is just very interesting. The Golden Globes doing Golden Globes things. But we're wrapping up here with Best Motion Picture Animated. Another really, really stacked year for animation. You have The Boy and the Heron. You have Elemental, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, the Super Mario Brothers movie, Suzumi, and Wish. Did I say that right? Or Suzume?
I believe so.
Okay.
I didn't see it.
Okay. So, Vinny did a great review on the channel for The Boy and the Heron. I've heard very good things about it. I do ultimately think this comes down to the commercial aspect of the Super Mario Brothers, which is, I think it was either the highest grossing film of the year, or it was the second highest grossing behind Barbie, or Across the Spider-Verse. I am praying to all the gods above, and if you're listening to me, Jesus, please, Across the Spider-Verse needs to be nominated for Best Picture at the Academy Awards. Based on that merit, I have to pick it for Best Motion Picture Animated. I think it's, I mean, again, another film I just gave a rewatch to. I mean, that film is so emotional and does so many amazing things. I do think, again, the fact that The Boy and the Heron may be Miyazaki's last film has an added element to it where you can see them swaying that way. And I can't speak to it personally because I haven't seen it, but I think it would be a detriment to not give this award to Across the Spider-Verse. Zach?
I agree. I mean, Across the Spider-Verse is gonna have a lot going for it. I think I wouldn't be surprised if it wins. I think that The Boy and the Heron might win because Miyazaki is breaking into Hollywood like with each one of his films, and he doesn't make movies as often as they do Spider-Man movies. And I think it's obviously less commercial than Spider-Man, but his stories they always pack a punch too. So I think if you're talking about a motion picture, I think Boy and the Heron has that original story and stuff going for it. Spider-Verse also very, very good. Animation behind that movie was insane. The fact that they took all those years to make it, but I don't know. I want to say just because of the Miyazaki element too, I think Boy and the Heron might win.
I think it's got a chance. I
Yeah.
definitely think it has a chance, but I would be very sad. Spider-Verse lost. And then so our last pick is going to be the new category, one of the two new categories at Golden Globes. The other one was the stand-up category, which we didn't list on here. But we have the cinematic and box office achievement. So it's here are your nominees. It's Barbie, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, John Wick Chapter 4, Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1, Oppenheimer, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, the Super Mario Brothers movie, and Taylor Swift, The Eras Tour. This is down to two. It's just about
Popularity.
what woman comes out on top. It's the battle between Barbie and Taylor Swift, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because of course they're gonna want to give Taylor Swift more flowers. Of course they're gonna want to get Taylor Swift on their broadcast.
Mm-hmm.
But I do ultimately think they're gonna do the right thing and they're gonna give this crazy award to Barbie, because I do think that you got to think about also cinematic and box office achievement. Now, was Taylor Swift The Eras Tour a box office achievement? Of course it was. Everybody knows that. All of these films obviously were box office achievements. All of them did very well for themselves, made a shit ton of money. But Barbie also has a very important cinematic context to it. And I think if you want to really christen this award in the right way for the first time, you give the award to Barbie.
Yeah. I'm kind of going back to what I was saying. Like, Barbie was the first movie directed by a woman to make $1 billion, which is the fact that's never happened before yet. You know, like that, for that to break through the ice for young girls like everywhere to show and recognize that achievement, that is literally the name of the award, cinematic and box office achievement.
Yeah.
Like, that to me is deserving in its own right. I think it's just unfortunate that the Taylor Swift Eras Tour is in the same year. So I agree. That was also an achievement because of how consistent it was selling out for so long, and then it was hard to get tickets just for a theater concert. So I don't know. I just think Barbie has a little bit of edge because I think it should be recognizing women directors, and I also think it's more because you can only make one of those movies. You can make another Taylor Swift concert theater experience. You know,
Yeah.
like she could have another tour. They could do another one, and she'll probably have a similar success with that.
Yeah.
But there's only one Barbie and one first time that it happened for Greta Gerwig. So
100%.
I think that's my pick.
I agree.
Yeah.
So we go out with the same one. Yeah, I love that. Guys, I hope you guys have enjoyed our conversation and our predictions on the Golden Globe Awards this year. Again, by the time this is coming out, we're a few days away from the Golden Globes. It's going to be airing on Sunday. Make sure you guys are watching it. Let us know in the comments who are your predictions. You guys can list them out below, all across film and TV, or just one or the other if you guys have watched more so than others. We would love to hear your guys' feedback. We love to respond in the comments, give you guys likes. If you guys can give this video a like, it really helps the channel out. Be sure to subscribe and hit that bell for alerts. If you guys don't follow us as well, we're at Cinema Wave Media on Instagram, as well as TikTok, Facebook, and Threads. We're also at _Culture Wave Media and at Jersey's Finest Pod as well on Instagram. We have a lot of really great stuff in store for you guys in the new year, including we're going to be doing our first live stream for this year's 75th Primetime Emmy Awards. So we're looking forward to that. Just signing off, I am Darian Scalamoni.
I'm Zach Miller.
And we'll see you guys next time.